How you doing health-wise? Pretty beat-up team?
We're pretty beat up, yeah, we are. I think certainly at this point in time, what I've gotten the report this morning from our athletic trainer, Savannah's improving, but it will not be cleared by Wednesday. And then our two kids that went down in the last game, Kylie and Jayla, are both improving. I don't know, we'll have to wait and see, but probably not the greatest probability at this point in time.
I was going to say, this time of year, I see you got 4 games in 10 days coming up. This is kind of a battle of wills right now, isn't it?
Well, it's a battle of a lot of things at this point in time, but our ability to compete is something that is going to be challenged, and it's going to be something that we have to do at a high level. And that's what we talked about in the last press conference. It was about toughness, it was about competitiveness, and I thought our young ladies really responded. I thought we played with a lot of toughness in the Iowa State game, and now we have to do that again. We faced Kansas, and we did not compete down the stretch at the same level that we needed to. We didn't rebound the way that we needed to, and Jackson, I think, had 7 offensive rebounds against us, gave up 11 offensive rebounds, and when you rebound well defensively, your defense field goal percentage improves. Why? Because they're not getting shots around the rim, but they're also not getting kick-out threes, and those threes are high percentage threes. And so our ability to defend, again, comes down to, or finishes certainly with our ability to end that possession by getting stops. We've been a team that has turned teams over. Now we need to finish it with rebounds, and we got better at that against Iowa State.
Coach, on the subject of Jackson, how much of a matchup issue is she with her size, and how intentional is Kansas about making sure she gets touches as often as possible?
Well, I thought with Kansas is very intentional about getting Jackson touches, and I thought they kind of changed how they got her some looks and some touches during the course of that game, and so what's hard for us is that if you play behind her, she still pins in the lane, and you can't play behind her in the lane. And if you front her, they can throw over the top. And if you front her and then somebody else shoots it, then it's harder to box her out. So we've got to do a very good job of being able to make adjustments. We don't have a lot of size inside relative to the size that she has, so we've got to find a way. And then on the other end of the court, she influences a lot of shots and blocks a lot of shots, but also kind of alters a lot of shots too.
How does she get up and down the floor? She runs
really
pretty
well. Yeah, she's a very good athlete.
Yeah. In your career, I'm sure at the different stops you've had to deal with bigger teams.
Right.
What have you learned over the years having to face teams that have size advantage?
Well, I think it all depends on how those teams play and how they use their size advantage, and are those kids really, are they able to defend? What do they do defensively, and what do you have to do to kind of modify maybe what you do or attack some things that they do? And certainly with Jackson's ability to get out on the perimeter, she can switch some screens, they can ice some ball screens, she can defend out on the perimeter, she can defend inside, so she makes it really difficult because she's a very mobile post player, if that makes sense, a very mobile 6'6" kid. And so ultimately for us, we've got to be able to find ways to attack the paint. I think the last game we played, we scored 28 points in the paint, and I think they had 34 points in the paint. And so, for us, we still have to find ways, but that's really hard. She makes that really, really difficult when she's in the game. So then you have to make some shots from the perimeter, and so for us, that's going to be a key for us. Or if you don't make them, then get offensive rebounds at that point in time. Kind of challenging to get offensive rebounds with her, but we've got to do our best and find a way.
How do your injuries affect your just the overall style that you want to play, the overall style which you will play?
Right. Certainly losing 3 kids, and maybe we get one back, possibly, but let's say worst case scenario, we're down 3 players who have played significant minutes for us heading into this matchup. At this point in time, it gives some other young ladies opportunities to play and to compete. And does it mean that we change a lot? Maybe there's some defensive change or ways that we alter some things, that how we guard potentially, but the reality is we're also how many games into the season at this point in time? What are we at, John? How many games have we played?
We're at 23. Yeah.
23 games in the season, and ultimately we are who we are, and we're working to get better at who we are. And so to to say that we're not going to push the ball up the court, but that's the way that we're probably the most effective in scoring the ball. It makes it difficult for us to change a lot of how we play and how we attack. That's something that, our speed on the perimeter is something that is an advantage for us in a lot of matchups, and so we've got to find ways to attack. At the same time, we also have to be, and I think this was a job that our players did a really good job of this in the Iowa State game. Once in the fourth quarter, we didn't have to attack quickly and still find ways to score in a half court, and we were able to in that matchup by getting to the free throw line a little bit later in the game, and so that certainly helped us.
Thinking back to the Iowa State game, can you speak to the job Kaya did on Jones? I thought that was tremendous, the way she played against her the whole game.
Yeah, I thought Kaya and Jayla and Danny had the primary responsibilities of guarding Ashley Jones. And honestly, I thought Ashley Jones is a matchup nightmare. She really is. And she's the leading scorer in the Big 12 and someone who can shoot it from the arc, someone who can post up and score, someone who gets offensive rebounds, and someone who has a mid-range game. And I thought there were possessions in the first half that we actually defended her pretty well, and she still made shots. And there aren't that many players that can really do that consistently, and I thought she did that consistently. But ultimately for our players, and Kaya was guarding her most of the time, you've got to work to contest an arc shot. You've got to work to try to keep her in front of you. But then I think it was a team effort, collaborative effort, because she's got to feel like other people are coming at her, because you can't just guard her one-on-one. We saw a possession late in the game where we didn't come down to double her, or at least make her feel like we were going to come double her, and she kind of took it to the basket and then spun back and then attacked again and then hesitated and then attacked again and got to the rim and scored it. So she's really tough to guard one-on-one. You really have to do it as a team.
And to flip it around, they just go and beat Texas. I mean, you look at some of these scores and some of these things that are happening in this league. I mean, I think between you guys and the league leaders, there's 3 losses in the loss column. So there's a difference. There's a logjam of all these teams that are a pretty tough deal, right?
It is. It's certainly what people don't really understand at the same level as our players in general, and coaches, is that winning is really hard. Yeah, it is. It's hard to do that, and it takes a concerted amount of effort, energy, and then sometimes things kind of have to go your way too. And everybody has their own style, and in every conference there are battles. You know each other, and you make adjustments, and you know each other better than obviously the non-conference opponents. And it's a grind. Then you take on top of it the Big 12, and the Big 12 is a physical battle every single game, and you've got to find ways physically to be recovered before the next matchup, and that's a challenge. It's a very major challenge, and then playing at home, playing on the road, and the travel that goes into all of it too. All of those present major challenges for teams, and I thought our young ladies rebounded and did a really good job in our last home game. We're going to have to do that now. We're going to have an extra amount of energy, excitement, enthusiasm, and find a way against a very good Kansas team that we had struggles with, and being in a situation where we're probably down at least a few players in this game.
How have you handled it? This is your first year of going through the travel in this league.
Right.
We're kind of the outlier. How have you adjusted that? How have you handled that?
Yeah. Well, I think it's interesting because I heard Coach Huggins talk about it too. A lot of teams, when they come into Morgantown, talk about how difficult it is and the longer travel. And our young ladies, our athletes, not just women's basketball players, but our athletes, at West Virginia have to work through that. And so it's a challenge, and you hope that there's a toughness that comes about because we do that all the time. That's the goal, is that grows you in a resilience factor. But at the same time, we also have to be incredibly attentive to making sure that we're doing everything we can to put our team in the best possible situation to be successful from a recovery standpoint, from a preparation standpoint, all those type of things.
Well, it's going to change next year, but, people don't realize too, time zones. Right. Every time you travel, it's a time zone.
Every time.
You're losing time coming back.
Right. The travel back is really tough on our student athletes, because now you're getting back, and I don't know what time our men got back last night after a 9:00 game, but man, that had to have been late. But even for us, you're getting back, if we play at 6:30 or 7 o'clock at night, you're getting back at 2 o'clock in the morning, and then you have class the next day. So that's really tough on your student athletes to be able to do that. And so I think what's important for us is that we are as attentive as possible. If that means moving things back, if that means more film, if that means whatever it is, to try to put us in the best possible situation to be successful, that's important for our student athletes.
You mentioned the resiliency. Do you think that prepares you maybe a little bit for postseason? If you could survive this, the travel, the grind, the competition, the whole deal, it kind of trains your athletes to be, take care of yourself, all those things that you have to do in postseason to be successful.
Well, it's one of two things, right? You either become stronger because of it, and you become more resilient, or you become worn down because of it. So we have to choose to find ways to make us more resilient rather than worn down. And so, what's amazing is that you think back even 10 years ago in this profession, the recovery aspect of it wasn't anywhere near what it is now, even 5 years ago. And so what I believe our strength staff and our athletic training staff and our nutrition staff do a great job of is helping our young ladies understand that everything that they do is helping to position themselves one way or another to recover and feel as good as possible. Because the reality is at this point in time, how many games in are we? What did you say? 23 games in. I don't know if there's any athlete who plays a lot of minutes who feels great at this point in time in the season. Your body is tired. You're physically not at the same place that you are as you were when you started. So you've got to find ways to feel as good as possible at this point in time.
Last one here on that. Other places you've been, have you had a lot of back-to-back where you go on the road for 2 games? Have you done that a lot in your career?
We've done the back-to-back quite a bit, but back-to-back with 1 day in between. So the trip is at least 1 day shorter. So this is a longer time on the road, but at the same time, more time to prep for the second game. So there's an advantage in prep time. There's a disadvantage because you're away from home longer.
Yeah. I know you've got another one of those coming up. I think
We do.
Yeah. So.
We do, and the challenging part is you have an option, or the Big 12 has an option. We don't really have an option, I guess, is that you either go on the road and you have a long trip and then you come back home and you have a late night and then you go back on the road and then you've got another late night, or you do it all in one time, and so it is what it is. And
so you have to bring your whole department, basically, all your tutors, all those people to keep it like you're on the road, right?
We do, and it's a long time, and I think our young ladies do a good job of making sure that they're staying, engaged and doing the best that they can from an academic standpoint. But again, maybe there's an advantage in this day and age because a lot of classes are online, so you can still stay locked in. But then all of a sudden you have classes during the time that you're on the road too. So there's different challenges with that.
You take the technology that you guys use in practice on the road with you? Can you still show video during practice when you guys are on the road?
We can, yes. Yep, we can travel with a projector.
Projector. See,
Yeah, there's a little projector and a screen, and we've got all the. We don't travel lightly. My husband would accuse me of overpacking every trip that we go on, and our staff overpacks on every trip that we go on too.
Any other questions? Oh,
I was just saying it's better to be prepared, right?
Yeah, that's right. Better to be prepared.
Yeah.
Yep,
any other
exactly.
questions for Coach?
Great, thank you.
Thanks.